Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Troy. Hey, listen, a new conspiracy theory is making the rounds among the MAGA fascists about Nancy Pelosi and her involvement on January 6th because footage has leaked of her daughter following her around with a camera. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because we already went through this about 3 months ago. We all know that Nancy Pelosi's daughter was filming a documentary about her when January 6th happened. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, predictably, has seized on this and is now claiming that January 6th was a staged event to boost Pelosi's documentary views. Check this out.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi at the time, her biggest concern and responsibility was the safety and security of the Capitol. She ignored all the intelligence briefings that were given to her. She ignored the request for the National Guard on January 6th. And what everyone just saw in this video is they used the situation. They totally threw out the ability to hide exits for security reasons in the Capitol, and they used it. They used that situation to film it so that their family could make millions of dollars later by selling the video footage in a documentary. I believe that is one of the most abusive things and the biggest sign of corruption from Nancy Pelosi that the American people will see thus far. And I know you're going to show them a lot more. But this is appalling, and it shows who the real hypocrites are, and that they had a lot more planned that they were going to do with January 6th than anyone even knew. And while all of us were confused of what was going on that day, when the Capitol was breached, had no idea it was going to happen, Nancy Pelosi clearly knew what was going on, and they had a plan the entire time. She had been told by her own sergeant at arms. She had been told by Capitol Police. She had been told by many agencies. She had been warned of potential violence on January 6th and threats to the Capitol. And she had her daughter there with camera in hand. I think they clearly knew what they were doing, and they have capitalized on it and made millions of dollars.
Well, first of all, they keep repeating this lie that the Speaker of the House is responsible for Capitol security. That's not at all true. The Speaker of the House has no authority over the National Guard or the Capitol Police. That's the Chief of Capitol Police, and above them is the Sergeant at Arms. The Capitol Police doesn't take orders from Nancy Pelosi. The National Guard certainly doesn't take orders from Nancy Pelosi. At nowhere in the military chain of command will you find the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The National Guard is controlled by the Commander-in-Chief, which is the President of the United States, which on January 6th was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump issued no order for National Guard, for the DC National Guard to intervene at the Capitol, and in fact delayed the response from neighboring National Guard units in Maryland and Virginia. We have evidence of that now. So she definitely has absolutely no idea what she's talking about here, or she's probably just being willfully ignorant, like she is, because it is Marjorie Taylor Greene after all. But thinking about these accusations that Nancy Pelosi knew that January 6th was going to happen, and therefore had her daughter ready with a camera to film the whole thing, is particularly outrageous, even for Marjorie Taylor Greene, especially because we now know that the documentary is legit. It's out on HBO. You can watch it. It's called Pelosi in the House. And it's a documentary about Nancy Pelosi's entire congressional career and a little bit about her family life and child life as well. It's a total biographical documentary filmed about Nancy Pelosi by her daughter, who is a professional filmmaker, a professional documentarian with multiple films under her belt. She's a very widely respected filmmaker and documentarian. The January 6th footage is only one aspect of this much larger documentary. We all saw it. That portion of the documentary was released by the January 6th committee, but you can go watch the documentary on HBO, and it's clearly about more than just January 6th. I don't think these people realize that is a documentary that they can go view. They can watch that footage and know exactly what Nancy Pelosi was doing and saying on that day, since it's already been released. But this idea that Nancy Pelosi constructed a faux documentary around January 6th, around her plotting to initiate January 6th, is a little bit of a stretch, even for somebody as fucking crazy as Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then she goes on, predictably, to defend the traitorous insurrectionists that attacked our Capitol on that day, saying that their arrest is the saddest part of that day, defending them over the Capitol Police that were there to protect her and suffered multiple injuries and deaths, protecting her and other members of Congress from this treasonous insurrection. Check this out.
This is a tragic situation and it's heartbreaking. This is something that I've been attacking the FBI, the Department of Justice, the jail, the DC jail here and other jails. These people are truly being persecuted.
She also claimed that most of the January 6th insurrectionists that were arrested on that day just happened to be innocent bystanders that wandered into the Capitol and got caught up in the fray because they'd never been to D.C. before. Check this out.
So endanger many Americans that were simply standing on the Capitol grounds, maybe never even walked through the Capitol or committed any crimes, but they could have just walked further than where the barrier was simply because the barrier was torn down by the time they got there. Most of these people have never even or had never even been to Washington, D.C. until that day on January 6th. So there was no way for them to know that they had crossed a barrier because it was all torn down.
Marjorie Trader Greene trying to gaslight all of us into thinking that the January 6th insurrectionists who are on film attacking Capitol Police were actually just tourists who got lost because they'd never been to D.C. before. This would be absolutely hilarious if this woman was not completely psychotic and probably the most powerful Republican in Congress. Marjorie Trader Greene is a fascist insurrectionist. She needs to resign from Congress immediately. She is a disgrace to this nation, making up stories, feeding into this paranoia about this footage that was released, this camera footage of Nancy Pelosi's daughter filming her on that day as part of a documentary that you could now go watch, but somehow claiming that the entire January 6th event was staged for that documentary, and once again, praising the January 6th insurrectionists. She is a traitor. She should be removed from office under the 14th Amendment Insurrection Clause. She is an absolute disgrace to our country. For MeidasTouch, this is Troy. Remember, smash that subscribe button to keep supporting independent media.
We've got pride. Do you? We're celebrating Pride Month with a brand new collection of tanks, V-necks, and more. Go to store.meidastouch.com right now and grab yours. Oh, and don't forget that koozie.